Hi everybody, I'm Corina. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My Facebook page is Corina Stefan Astrology, and the website where you can find me and book a reading with me is www.corinastefanastrology.com. On September 6 at 12:03 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, the Pisces full moon at almost 14 degrees illuminates the maximum contrast and the painful separation between matter, symbolized by the sign of Virgo, and spirit, symbolized by Pisces, inviting us to bring those two halves of our being back into harmony and back into balance. Pisces symbolizes the paradise, symbolizes innocence and spirituality, that special existential state where we know for sure and we feel with every cell in our bodies that all is interconnected and we are just one droplet among billions of other droplets that form together the ocean of divine creation. In this state of high sensitivity for all that is alive or fragile, the heart is the one leading our actions, impressing them with gentleness, with kindness, with compassion, empathy, and unconditional love. In this state of grace, we can only protect life in all its forms and turn our presence here on earth into a blessing. Pisces also symbolizes the caressing, gentle waters of the cosmic womb from which we were born. We all dream to return to their peaceful serenity one day. We are all haunted, without even being aware of it most of the time, by this nostalgia about the original paradise. We long to be fully connected to the cosmic harmony, happily surrendering our need to resist certain situations or to control them through our minds or our decisions. The urge to give and to receive love is the clearest manifestation of this nostalgia about a lost Eden that lives in the darkness of the collective unconscious mind and pushes us forward to search for that complete fusion, a physical, emotional, mental and spiritual fusion with a partner, in spite of all the fears or potential suffering involved by the process of relating. It's almost as if we were born with a crystal clear memory of that state of fusion and absolute harmony, and we feel compelled to do anything to recreate it. It feels close to an addiction to that primordial experience of love that we had in God's arms, and this makes us try again and again to reproduce it in our earthly experience. As Pisces rules addiction and escapism from a reality that is perceived as being too uncomfortable or too harsh, by means of art, by means of chemical numbing of the senses like smoking, drugs, alcohol, by means of sleep or spirituality, it is important to remember during the next 2 weeks of this lunar cycle that joy cannot occur if we try to get separated from practical reality and engage only in a so-called spiritual life. We need to be more aware than ever that fighting our bodily needs and the so-called weaknesses of our flesh is not the way to ascend into spirit. The solution lies only with the marriage of the body with spirit, of the mind with the heart, of reason with intuition, of the masculine with the feminine energies. We need to start aligning every second, minute, and hour of our lives, the practical aspects, with the truth and the joy of the heart. By being authentic and by expressing our unique gifts, we are on the path of slowly transforming Earth into a paradise, and we get to cease finally to complain about how terrible this planet is. Therefore, this Pisces full moon is not a favorable moment for self-induced victimization and an attitude that goes like this: all my life I've wanted to do X thing, but I never really had the financial means for that. The message of this full moon clearly highlights that matter serves spirit and not the other way around. If spirit serves matter, then we fall into a wild consumerism that has devastating effects on nature and alienates us from our inner joy and from who we truly are deep within. If one really loves something with all their heart, they will do all in their power to configure their life around this passion, around this hobby, vocation, or calling, and avoid leading a meaningless life where they would be busy with a dead activity, one that lacks the fire of the heart, lacks the passion. Virgo, on the other hand, which is the sign where the sun is placed with this full moon, symbolizes matter and symbolizes the very opposite principle of that surreal, dreamy, and flowy Pisces energy. Life in a body made of flesh and bones involves with Virgo a lot of intelligence, a lot of attention and patience in dealing with human needs and limitations. Virgo is an earth sign for which the practical aspects of any situation, the fruits, the finalities, and the details are crucial. Virgo is oriented towards immediate physical well-being, being so preoccupied with making life functional and breathable. So Virgo is the one that really makes a system work, the one that keeps in order the clicks of our internal biological clocks, the one that brings structure and brings the clarity of routine to our lives. Virgo's approach sounds like this. Since I find myself here in a body and with a contract to honor, why shouldn't I serve with devotion and do my homework diligently, offering the highest contribution I am capable of? Virgo aspires to perfection and is profoundly in love with the idea of fixing, of healing and improving, but does not get stuck with ideal situations or situations that are highly toxic because of their lack of realism. Yes, it's true, in the world of spirit, all happens in the blink of an eye, through the magic of thought and intention. But we live in a world that is ruled by gravitation and by linear time. So what's the point in crying over spirit's strengths when our feet are dusted with dirt and not with stars? Virgo has so much common sense and devotion that it will always focus on what it is possible, doable, and realistic in a situation that is not so great because it implies discomfort and limitations. The humble and patient energy of Virgo will turn gray and dull stones into diamonds through amazing perseverance and millions of trials and repetitions. And this very simple and clear pragmatism of the sign of Virgo is what really can make a huge difference between a life lived in frustration, unhappiness, and the search for every opportunity to escape from our body's tight cage into the free infinite space of spirit, and a life that is lived with joy, with purpose, with peaceful acceptance and enthusiastic honoring of our contract of being a student in this earthly school. The activation of the Virgo-Pisces polarity that occurs on this full moon represents a serious cosmic request for us to come up with a new solution for the body-spirit contradiction and separation. It's almost as if God whispered in our ears, "Come on, you can do better than that. Don't repeat the old stories. Stop punishing the body or worshipping it in the most primitive way, and understand once and for all that matter is the temple of spirit." Allow the joy of your hearts to illuminate this dark and complicated architecture of needs, emotions, fears, expectations, and hopes that you have all abandoned on the construction site of your lives, and make sure that what you are building is a beautiful cathedral that is going to bring you closer to the angels. As this Pisces full moon tightly conjuncts Neptune, the whole theme of the next 2 weeks of this lunar cycle revolves around the divine feminine principle of faith, forgiveness, acceptance, gentleness, and unconditional love. So you can seize this opportunity and practice forgiveness with significant female characters in your life, especially your mother. Or you can heal insecurities, fears, traumas that are connected with your past, with your childhood, with your family and emotional roots. As Neptune dissolves personal boundaries, be ready to feel exactly how those close to you feel. So be gentle and generous with people that are facing some sort of suffering or are struggling with emotional wounds. even if the manifestation of their inner pain might take the form of some really challenging behavior for you, something that you loathe or something that you feel that it's aggressive or that harms you. Try not to judge or to condemn, as this is a form of mental violence. If you get overwhelmed by what you feel, spending time in nature is the best remedy, along with some sort of spiritual practice like meditation or prayer and artistic self-expression. Music, dancing, painting, photography, poetry, all this would work. What really matters in the next 2 weeks of this lunar cycle is not to interrupt the emotional flow when confronted with fear or suffering. Emotions need to move freely through our bodies just like air. If our breathing stops, then life ends. In a similar way, if the flow of emotions stops because we get tense or because we refuse to release certain emotions we hold on to, we get unbalanced and eventually we become sick. The moon in Pisces makes a sextile to Pluto in Capricorn. That's an angle of 60 degrees. So the next 2 weeks would be appropriate to release fears that have something to do with our role in this world or our need to be successful, especially in terms of career. It would be wise to give up any attachments you have in connection to the outcome of specific situations. Allow for things to unfold at a natural pace. Don't try to rush them, don't try to slow them down according to your personal interests. The Sun in Virgo trines makes an angle of 120 degrees to Pluto in Capricorn. So now it's a great time to see with maximum clarity the destructive patterns that we repeat in our lives and how they are holding us back. Use the next 2 weeks to analyze and discern between what's useful and what's toxic in your life so that you can really set healthy long-term goals. The inconjunction, that angle of 150 degrees between Venus in Leo and the Moon in Pisces, is a very difficult aspect, and it translates the need for internal adjustment between two energies that are incompatible. On the one hand, we might feel the need to boldly express our unique gifts and our inner joy by taking a central role by leading from our heart. On the other hand, we might need to give ourselves time to heal all wounds and insecurities that made our hearts close and lose some courage and brightness. So all is going to be fine as long as we remember that in step 1 we need complete healing and we need full recovery from past wounding, and then in step 2 we can start acting in a brave way. If we ignore the signals sent by our inner pain and try to force things, we might find ourselves trying to play a role that doesn't truly resonate with us or that overwhelms us, as it requires a much higher level of self-love and self-confidence. Jupiter, the traditional ruler of Pisces, is currently positioned in Libra, which activates also the theme of relationships and romantic love for this full moon. Try to watch and become aware of what kind of repetitive thoughts, expectations, and assumptions about love, about harmony, about fairness and balance and equality you might be bringing into your relationships. Many of our very dangerous thoughts are not even obvious at first sight due to the intense repetition that we use while managing our minds. So repetition is the mechanism that hides dangerous thoughts behind the harmless appearance of familiarity or normality. Try to be more cautious than you normally do with apparently trivial thoughts or ideas, because you might stumble upon some pretty shocking beliefs or ideas that are responsible for relationship challenges. The best way to do this is by writing down like a thought or belief inventory when it comes to love, heart, and romance, especially now that Mercury in Leo is about to end its retrograde phase and will oblige all of us to reduce clutter in our lives by releasing mental garbage so that we can experience more happiness. Thank you, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.